Hi, Smith family. I just watched your Coincidence or God video, and I have a little story to share with you. I moved here to New York about 3 years ago, and my friend from New Jersey, close to Pennsylvania, helped me move, and so I rented a U-Haul truck, and we moved me out here, and then he spent an evening, and the next day we brought the U-Haul truck to a local area here, and I drove him in my minivan at the time back to New Jersey. So we were driving, and I got to the Paterson area outside of New York City, and I realized that I needed to stop and get gas. Now, I didn't usually stop in Paterson because there are some pretty rough areas, but he was with me, so I just thought that I would stop there. And my mother was raised in Paterson as a little girl, and we passed by a cemetery, and I just thought, well, maybe this is the cemetery my mother took me to when I was younger. So we drove around that cemetery just for a little bit, looking for my grandmother's grave, but it was the wrong cemetery. So we left the cemetery, and then I stopped and got gas, and then turned around and headed back to the highway. But as I was driving toward the highway, I missed the right turn to get onto the highway. So I had to go over the overpass. And as I did that, two dogs ran from the exit ramp of the highway. So they were coming from the highway. This is like crazy highway, right? Route 80. And so it was a big dog, like a pit bull, chasing a small puppy Labrador. And so they darted out in front of me, and I stopped, and then I pulled into a business area, some large corporation parking lot where the dogs had run off to. And I just thought, I felt really sorry for the little puppy because it was obviously a bigger dog running after it, and I wasn't sure if it was a dire situation or not. So I don't always do this. I mean, literally, there are so many stray animals in New York City that you couldn't save them all. But I don't know what compelled me to follow these dogs, but I did. So I got into the parking lot, and I could see at the very end of the parking lot, the big dog and the puppy were still running. And I rolled down my window and opened the door, and I said, "Hey!" I said, "Come here! Come here!" And the little puppy stopped. I mean, they both basically stopped and looked at the green van and the big lady, right? And I immediately knew that they were going to keep running in the other direction. I mean, that's what animals do. But I was wrong. The little blonde Labrador puppy immediately took off running toward me, toward my direction. It ran so fast that, I mean, it literally ran into the open door of the van and was so happy to see us. The other dog did not follow him, so he was basically saved from the situation. So he was wearing a collar, a dog collar, and my friend was like ruffling the dog collar and saw that it had a tag and a phone number. So we were like, oh, this is great. You know, we get to save this puppy and go on and go home. And so we called the number from my cell phone, and it was a young person answered and said, was kind of dismayed that we called about the dog. And I said, oh, well, we have the dog, come down and get it. And they're like, oh, okay, we'll come. So this woman and a young man came down, and she said something to the effect like, oh, my father left the gate open again because her father didn't want the dog. And we felt really bad. Here he had a gash, but not like he had been hit or anything, but we just felt bad. And I said to my friend Phil, why don't you take the dog? And he's like, oh, no. I mean, they had just lost a dog, so I thought, well, why don't you take the dog? And she's like, oh, yeah, we really don't want him, blah, blah, blah. And we do have papers for him for medical from the vet about the shots he's had. So basically, it turned into not like saving the dog, giving it back to the owner. The owner was saying, we don't really want the dog. So Phil said, "Why? I'll keep the dog if you don't want it," basically. And so the girl said, "Okay, well, we'll go get the papers and we'll come back." So we sat there with the puppy for half an hour, and I said, "Boy, you're really lucky," to the dog, because, not only did we save it from the other dog, but we were basically giving it a new home. So I said, "You're really lucky." And I guess the dog's name was Buddy, but I said to my friend, I said, if you keep the dog, you have to name it Lucky, right? So we were about to leave, and the people did come back with the paperwork and everything. So my friend has a dog now for 3 years, and it just felt really good that whole situation is just something that, was I meant to be there? Was I meant to miss my exit? I mean, this is an exit I never would have gone off before. And all of that stuff happened, and then I missed the exit to go back onto the highway for the dog situation. So, I don't know. Was it coincidence or not? I'm uncertain. I don't know if there are paths that we take that are meant to be. But anyway, so for Valentine's Day, I received this card from my friend, and I'll share it with you. It's Valentine's Day. Wanna get lucky? You already have. You've got me. You can't get any luckier than that. And this is Lucky. Very happy. And about 3.5 years old. Or 3 years old. So there are happy endings after all. Or happy beginnings. Bye for now.